Welcome to Destination Business Freedom, hosted by Pat Mancuso. Join us as we explore success strategies and hacks from leading entrepreneurs, helping you bridge the gap between financial success and personal freedom. Your journey starts here.
Pat Mancuso here. Thanks so much for being here today. I am the host of the Destination Business Freedom podcast, where I interview thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners who have either exited their business or are on that journey. Additionally, we bring some very talented people to the table who can help you get through that journey to that destination in their services. My goal is to help small to medium-sized business owners close the gap between their finances and their freedom, utilizing tools and advisors so they can ultimately define and arrive at their destination, whatever that looks like for them. Today's episode is brought to you by the Mancuso Consulting Group, which uses its proprietary Mancuso method process to help entrepreneurs and business owners who are dedicated to closing that gap between their finances and their freedom. When you go to themancuso.com, www.themancuso.com, and take our short assessment, you will receive a powerful report with a roadmap, a personal roadmap to your destination. And then in addition to that, we offer you a 30-minute call with us, no obligation, where based upon my insights and my entrepreneurial journey myself of over 30,000 hours of coaching and consulting, we help you talk about that roadmap. And my goal, my commitment, my guarantee is that when you schedule that 30-minute call with us, if we don't provide $10,000 worth of value in that 30-minute call, I'll write you a check for $500 on the spot. That's how confident we are that we can add value to your business through the Mancuso method process. So again, if you're ready to move forward, go to www.themancuso.com. So I am super excited today about our guest, and in full disclosure, he's an attorney, but he's an amazing attorney that only practices law basically as an opportunity to help business owners. And I hope I have that right, Nate. But let me introduce to you Nate. Nate Dodson advises clients on matters related to securities, financing, real estate, opportunity zones, and M&A. In other words, the reason that I'm excited today to have Nate with us is he helps people close this gap between their finances and their freedom and ultimately potentially exit the business or raise some capital. Prior to his law practice, Nate was a former investment broker and advisor, providing a level of knowledge and experience in investment sales, structures, and asset protection. I bet we're going to talk a little bit about asset protection today because, oh my gosh, businesses need that as well. Through leveraging his expertise in the industry, along with help from his long list of trusted connections, Nate has represented over $2 billion in real estate and business funding transactions. Nate received his bachelor's in economics from the University of Texas in Austin. Maybe we should talk about the football team, maybe not, I don't know. And Juris Doctorate from the University of San Diego. He's currently a member of the Nevada and Texas State Bars. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me today. And that was quite the thorough bio.
Well,
no stone unturned.
We absolutely attempt to bring clarity, and you obviously have a lot of experience and a lot of background. So it's important to us, and thank you for that. It's important to us that our listeners understand this isn't just, our conversations aren't with people who, maybe just started yesterday or don't have the experience or the track record or tell people how to do it. They've never actually done it. You actually have done it. And so that's why we're excited to have you today. So Nate, I want to just start with, I always like to start with having people just give just a little bit of overview. So you are an attorney, you're still practicing attorney. What brought you from kind of that legal focus into being an entrepreneur?
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, but I can say that I started out as an attorney like everybody else, just getting in there and trying to build a book to build experience. But quickly, at least for myself, I learned that I was way better at building business than getting into the nitty gritty and frankly listening to partners saying, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. So I actually started my first firm way back in 2007. So
Wow.
now it's been 18 years, give or take. It's been a long time. But with that, I'm the lead attorney, I'm the partner, I'm helping guide, communicate with the clients. But with any business, it has to be bigger than just one operator. So I started bringing in attorneys with their specialties and their knowledge and being able to do bigger and more opportunities, deals, investment transactions, real estate deals. But then even beyond that, I started acquiring law firms and acquiring a criminal law firm, a family law firm, another real estate firm, just kind of and then ultimately a securities law firm. So I've bought quite a few of law firms along the way, which I have my niche, my specialty, and it really comes down to entrepreneurship, raising capital, getting more deals done.
Yep.
But I've actually built one of the largest law firms by the sheer number of transactions that we do throughout the country. And very much so focused on being that entrepreneur, building a business, and trying to help people out along the way.
Well, so you said something which I so love and I so believe, like, as an entrepreneur, I didn't want anybody else telling me what to do. Like, one of the definitions, I'm thinking if I went to the dictionary, entrepreneur never wants anybody to tell them what to do. Like, that's one of the first check marks. So it's funny that you said that. But here's what I love, and I didn't necessarily know this. I mean, you and I are in I would consider to be a pretty high powerful mastermind group of business owners and business owners who want to acquire businesses. But I didn't know to the extent of the number of businesses that you've acquired. And so, oh my gosh, that we're going to delve into that a little bit. But you touched on something which I think is important to tie into what we do in the conversation with business owners. And we talk about closing the gap between their finances and their freedom, and that ultimately leads to conversations around their exit. And I think most people miss the opportunity, and you've certainly taken advantage of this, that their exit could be facilitated, could be accelerated by acquisitions of businesses either in their industry or, what you did was you did in your industry, but you also did ancillary services that, maybe you've got a client who's going through divorce, but now they want to buy some real estate. So you really are serving, a clients at a whole another level. Like, how did that start?
It really started with, as I was noting, I'm an entrepreneur, and you're either growing or you're dying.
Yeah.
And I built the big fish in a little pond, and to continue growing, I had to spread my wings and focus in new areas. I have never practiced criminal law. I don't know anything about it, but that doesn't mean I can't own it, scale it, create the systems for it. And that's really been a big secret of our success, is treating the practice of law like a corporation. There's management systems, there's departments, and with acquiring businesses, if that is part of your strategy, a big opportunity there are people don't really understand how to grow, scale, operate, and streamline a business. So especially attorneys, we're like the worst at it. The ability to be able to acquire a practice, implement these systems for scalability, and then be able to sit back and just see the engine go, it is a huge part of what I love doing.
I love that. And I have to believe, and you can validate it or say I'm crazy, but I have to believe, based upon the demographics that we talk about all the time with business owners and the baby boomers, there's got to be huge opportunity out there in the law practice to acquire businesses as part of that strategy.
Oh, you nailed it. It's you talk to 100 attorneys and 99 of them want to get out of the business. So we're opening up that opportunity and direction to allow people not just to be able to exit because, hey, they want to retire or move on,
Right.
but also to be able to do what your passion is. And there's plenty of attorneys that are passionate about what they do, their drive to help people. But actually running a business and doing everything else takes them away from what they truly desire and are passionate about accomplishing.
Because because you have to scale it. If there's only so many hours in the day. You can only charge so much per hour. And then as you start to scale, now that per hour kind of gets diluted a little bit. Again, I'm talking about through my limited knowledge of law firms. But so you have to do, in essence, you either stay small or you have to get bigger. I mean, is that a fair kind of perspective?
You really nailed it. And this was back in 2007. My mindset had to switch from how many hours a day am I practicing law to now how many hours a day is the entire business practicing law. And I love to say for every 1 hour I'm doing, I'm actually practicing law for 6 to 10 hours when you look at the business as a whole. So it's a completely different analysis.
So I want to ask you a couple of questions on the business acquisitions, and then we're going to shift to like the really what's important to me, which is how you can help our listeners close that gap between their finances and their freedom. So of all the acquisitions you've done so far, without alienating any of them or any of the people in them, like what's been your most favorite acquisition in terms of which type of law?
Really, the firm that I mostly hold myself out as representing, Crowdfunding Lawyers, which we are a securities and finance law firm. We help businesses across the country capitalize their business plans, their growth plans, ultimately being able to strategize exits. And we help everybody from that beginning entrepreneur that has a napkin, business plan, to somebody that's in operations and they're looking to get to that next level and the next goal.
Yep.
And ultimately for people that are trying to exit, but trying to really maximize their value of exit, you've had a successful career. Have you thought about taking your company into the public markets where I can buy and sell a business at 3 to 5, 7 times profit? Well, what if that becomes 20 times profit, which is the opportunities if you get your business actually listed with a stock exchange, all of which is possible. It just takes the right planning and kind of the system from where you're at to what your goals are, which for my firm, that's where we get really passionate about not just a deal, but what's the long-term plan.
So my guess again is that the reason that that's exciting, and I hear it and it excites me, is many of the other law practices are either cleaning up problems or dealing with problems, or maybe, doing some protection from problems. But really that piece you just talked about, and that's why I can see how it makes so much sense. That piece is the exciting part. I mean, you're helping transformation. You're helping individuals create potential wealth, generational wealth through that type of vehicle. And so, that does sound really exciting. Maybe I need to go back to school and get my law license. No, not happening.
I'm sorry, the job is taken. There's only so many of us that can live the dream.
It's funny because most people would not know this about me. So I'm going to ask you something most people would know about you. But I actually, in college, I went to school for marketing, business, entrepreneurship. And then I ventured a little bit off into law and I so loved it. And my mom said, I'll fund your law school if you want to be an attorney. And I'm like, no, Mom, I don't want to be an attorney. I like the law. I like a lot of, so that was the foray into, nope. Yes, I really appreciate and respect lawyers. Nope, I'm not, no. So you keep your job. I'll keep mine. So, Nate, I want to ask you one fun question. So is there something that people don't know about you that if you shared it, they'd be surprised?
Okay, well, I'm just going to ruin your entire thing right here. I am an attorney. I've done thousands of deals. Love it. One of my funnest joys is seeing somebody from that first, I want to start a business, to being a multi-millionaire entrepreneur. Have done it dozens of times. Really love that. But, and here's what's just going to ruin it. I literally don't practice law anymore.
Yeah.
Did it long enough.
Right.
And I now have a partner that, with our latest acquisition, that I brought him in as a partner, part of the deal was, let me focus on the fun stuff.
Yes.
The running the business, the scaling the business, the marketing.
Yeah.
Just keep me out of those documents, because I cannot read another 60-page operating agreement.
Yeah.
So I get to be a little detached.
That makes sense. I mean, with Roland in the group that we're in Epic, a recovering attorney, as he calls himself, and, obviously that knowledge nobody can ever take away, and you apply it every day. It's just you're applying it for yourself and not necessarily, you're applying it on other people, but you're not directly applying it as an attorney. You're applying it in a level, probably a higher level, to have an impact on them. So
for everybody that's listening, you start as a technician.
Yep.
You're in there, you're doing the business, you're creating the widget, you're providing the service.
Yep.
But as you grow and scale, it's impossible to do. So you have to plug in other competent, successful parts to make the engine run. And then somebody just has to make sure that it continues running effectively and efficiently. And that's the biggest role that I step into.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. I want to spend the rest of our time together and think about a business owner, an entrepreneur, and we could talk, I'm sure, pretty globally about this, but let's picture the business owner that's been in the business, and maybe they're at the point where they're at the ceiling, and they need to maybe acquire businesses, and they look and they say, well, I can't go to the bank, I can go get an SBA loan. Okay. And, let's just talk about that individual. And I come to you and I say, okay, Nate, here's the deal. I got a $3 million company. I want to go to, 15 or 20 million, but I don't have the capital to do that. Coach me through first. Let's just talk, like, what would that look like in a conversation with me? I know there's some variables, but let's just talk in general.
Sounds good. Well, I can tell you my big 3 questions.
Okay.
How much, how fast, and from who?
Okay,
All of
so
that.
let's go through those.
Sure. How much, really, your strategy gets defined by, am I trying to raise $100,000? Or am I trying to raise $10 million? Okay. Your overall strategy changes based on really what your overall goal is.
Okay.
How fast? Because let's be honest, if you have something under contract and you're closing in a month and a half, what you can do gets to be more limited to, what can I do today to make sure I hit that closing date?
Okay.
And from who gets to be very important, because who are your potential investors? Okay. Are they already within your network? Do you already know who they are? Or are you going to have to advertise and market online through social media, the very classic crowdfunding? Or do you have the mindset of, I'm just looking for those family offices, I'm looking for a big check writer? Each one of those options creates different strategies and opportunities as well. So that's why those are the big 3 questions that really kind of answers everything based on those.
So, you said something like, I need to raise $100,000, and people would go, well, that doesn't seem like a lot of money. Just go to the bank. And yet what I hear you saying is that may be a potential person that comes to you, and you can help them at least with that. I mean, like, that struck me like, oh, that seems like a small number, but it's not really to some businesses. I guess I have to look at it that way.
It's a small number if you can pick up the phone, make one phone call and say, hey, Mr. Jones, we've had a great relationship. I need $100,000 for X, Y, and Z purposes.
Right.
Easy, simple.
Sure.
But what if you're just starting up, you're opening up a franchise
Okay.
and you don't have a ton of experience in it? You're venturing into new areas.
Right.
Maybe, especially if you're looking at more of a retail target,
Right.
you focus on bringing in investors that are potential customers or already customers. And so you have a different strategy there. But if you're looking for more of that crowdfunding, bringing in the smaller investors, you tend to need to cast a wider net because you need more of those potential investors. Or especially with the way that marketing works nowadays, where you can geofence where your impact is, you can actually put together marketing that says, well, I'm going to open up this business at this corner. Here's what my customers are going to look like. And you know what? I'm going to start boosting posts to drive traffic to my investment based on these zip codes or based on this area. So you can really target exactly what's going to help your business get launched and potentially create a whole nother client or audience base.
So I for benefit of listeners who may not know, and they heard crowdfunding. Give me the definition of crowdfunding. I know what it is, but I want to make sure our listeners know.
It is an amazing buzzword that doesn't mean a whole lot of anything. So
I love it.
No, I mean, what we focus on, or it's at least in the name, crowdfunding lawyers. We are transactional. We're a securities firm, a finance firm, but the buzzword, crowdfunding, we help entrepreneurs raise capital by advertising, reaching out to the crowd to be able to drive investors to their opportunity. That is a little different than just calling up grandma and saying, hey, I need some cash.
Right, right.
But what crowdfunding also means beyond that is you have, as an example, GoFundMe.
Yeah.
That is more of a charitable based crowdfunding.
Okay.
You have product based Kickstarter. Pre-buy my widgets and I'm going to produce it and sell it to you. That's still crowdfunding.
Right.
But it's a little bit different than what we do.
And those markets have opened up dramatically with changes in, rules, SEC rules, those type of things, right?
Definitely. Well, kind of interesting, like what the SEC oversees and investments, there's a test for it. And the test is I'm contributing money into this pool that I'm looking for profits. To go to that GoFundMe, I'm not looking for anything back.
Right.
So it's not an investment, it's a gift. With Kickstarter, I'm looking for a product back. I'm not looking for profits. So you have to kind of look at what the real goals are, whether or not you need to pay attention to the SEC or avoid them entirely.
That makes sense.
And if we can help people avoid the SEC, we help people avoid the SEC because it just is a whole nother world to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. So in today's world, where are you seeing a lot of activity in terms of, and I know it's going to vary, but if you had to say, okay, in today's world, here's where we're seeing a lot more capital raised versus other areas. Is there one area right now?
The biggest, we work a lot in the real estate realm.
Okay.
And real estate has been hurting. High interest rates, costs going up. However, there's still some areas that are really doing well, like buying promissory notes, investing in loans because of the higher interest rates.
Right.
Investing into hotels because they haven't had the run up as much as the other real estate has because they're much more business based. Then on the business side, franchises, franchise. The plan is there.
Franchises?
No, just regular business franchises. Yes. The plan is in place. It has more of a provable model because of the successes in the past. You don't have somebody that's trying to recreate the wheel.
Sure.
People are so sick of hearing that I'm going to, change the world
Right.
with my business. Well, disruption being like that key word that now all of a sudden, if I hear that, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Like the word salad deal, right? Like, no, don't say that again.
Completely. Well, you know what? Show me something that has been working.
Right.
Will work now and into the future. And that's really where I love franchises, or you're taking your currently operating business to that next level. What's really suffering on the capital raise is I've got a napkin idea.
Yeah.
I've got a plan on a piece of paper. It's been untested. I'm going to disrupt the world. Those are more difficult to capitalize right now.
So let me go. I want to go a little bit deeper because you piqued my curiosity. So when you say investing in real estate and then you went to franchises, would that be investing in the real estate that the franchises use for their business, or is it simply investing in franchises?
Investing into both the franchisor side, because that's more of a business expansion strategy.
Okay.
Or the franchisee side. So as an example, if you get a territorial agreement, yeah, you can bring in other franchisees, but you know what? Those franchisees have to be financeable, have some money to begin with.
Yep.
Well, what if that system can be put together? Well, you know what? The franchisees don't have to worry about the cash because there's these capital strategies to bring in investors.
Yeah.
And so now they can open more and do more and create their own empire.
Okay, so we are going to be, as soon as we end this call, we're going to be having a conversation. We might end it early for some personal time, but because you're creating so many things. It's funny, and I ask you this now so I don't forget later. So I had a conversation with somebody, today's Thursday, so like Tuesday, and they said, "Hey, I have a flip deal, and the financing fell through. Who do you know?" And I started thinking, and then I got busy on something else. But is that a potential deal, like a one-off like that, for like somebody's got a flip, they need the financing to do it? Is that somebody, do you get that type of client?
We get it all the time.
Okay.
And when it comes down to it, either you're looking for that one check writer, and in that case, you want to make sure that you are avoiding the investment rules, because you can avoid the investment rules with a large single check writer.
Right.
But if you don't have that person or that group identified,
right,
and people think all the time, well, go to private equity. Well, you know what? Getting a private equity deal done can take 6 months to a year plus. By the time all the due diligence is done, tearing things apart is done, write that off as that's not an option for you.
Sure.
Also, write off, hey, I'm going to go raise the money from a whole bunch of little investors. If you haven't been doing that already, you can't just post on Facebook, I need money, send me money. Like, there's a process how to create your awareness authority,
right,
and how to introduce opportunities to the masses. So it really strategically comes down to, how can we get this flip funded in a short time period based on the assets you already have?
Sure. So let me ask you this question. In terms of, I already know that you and your team, you do strategy, you do implementation. Are you also helping people raise money through the resources you have? Like the access to capital, is that something else that you guys help folks with?
We get asked that question all the time, so I'm going to answer to you the same way I answer to everybody. No, we're attorneys. Yes, we know a ton of investors, but you know what? The investors we know are our clients' investors, and I would never share their investors, just like I'd never share yours.
Right.
That being said,
yeah,
we do help assemble the teams, the knowledge. You need a broker dealer, we can introduce broker dealers. You need a marketing agency. We introduce a marketing agency. You want to figure it out yourself? Here's some education, whether you need handholding by a consultant or truly just DIY it. So we help in terms of the process of what do you need still comes down to the strategy and the plan.
Sure.
To maximize your chance of success.
That makes sense. And I'm glad I asked it because at the end of the day, sometimes the direct, like the shortest distance between 2 points appears to be you for financing, but that's not, the fact of the matter is you're going to help people to get to where they want to get to. And you're going to give them the strategy to do that is what I hear you saying. And I love that because then now I can go do it again and again and again, right? Like I'm basically learning to do the process, which means I can go invest in anything, whether it's a business, whether it's a franchise, whether it's a piece of real estate. So
you nailed it. A lot of the people that we work with just expect us to produce a document.
Yeah.
And I will say that is literally the smallest part of everything that we do. And plenty of attorneys can produce a good document, whatever. Go online, go find a document. It's more about creating the plan, the team, and the implementation, and then the compliance down the road, making sure you're doing everything legally.
So a general question, but obviously you're in this world every day. If there was a business owner right now saying, hey, I've got some extra capital, I've got my business running on its own. I've got I've got an operator in there who's doing it daily. And maybe I'm looking for my next best, greatest opportunity. Like, where do you see in terms of either industries or niches of great opportunities right now? Because there's going to be a ton of them with the demographics, but I'm just curious, like asking you that question, where do you see opportunities right now?
Everybody is unique because where are the opportunities? It's where do you plan to be at? If you're trying to find complementary businesses, you already have a roofing company, we'll go buy a window company.
Yeah.
Staying kind of within related industries, anything home improvement is a great opportunity in today's market, especially with costs going up.
Right.
You get to actually enjoy a little bit of that added inflation. Plus, there's just been huge growth in that area. So that's a good example.
Makes sense. We're remodeling, helping my mom, my 80-year-old mother, remodel her home. And, I've got a pretty deep background in my real estate career, 30 plus years with construction and builders and such. And it's like changed, boy, the trades folks and finding those folks to do that work. And it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So that makes a lot of sense. Right.
And then another thing to consider is if you're growing your business, buying the other businesses that directly complement and grow your business. That's the approach that I take with buying other law firms. I'm not looking outside of the area that I already really know. And frankly, I like acquiring businesses that have problems because I know with the systems and everything that I've gotten in place, I can solve those problems and make it so much better. And now I can buy it at a discount because of those issues.
It makes sense. So I want the remaining time that we have, if there were things you would share with people to get them to think differently, to be able to help, you to help them, like what would you share with somebody right now that's listening that you haven't shared so far that they really need to know in an area that you could help them with? What would you share?
Sounds good. Well, of course, the area that we can share people with is the planning, getting their business set up and helping with the vendor contracts. But forget about what we can help with. Let me just tell people what they need to do if they ever expect to need an investor or investors. Planning for your growth. The secret of being successful always 100% comes down to marketing. Whether you're educating yourself on how to implement marketing strategy or just awareness, do a monthly quarterly at the very least newsletter, letting everybody know what you're looking at, what you're doing, what businesses, acquisitions, or directions you're considering. But you're creating the awareness and the authority to everybody on your list, and repurpose the exact same information to generate interest and expand your network through social media as well. At the end of the day, if you need to finance anything with investors, you have to have investors that know, like, and trust you. And that starts way before you ever ask for that first dollar.
So basically, the aha that just went off in my head is just like when I was in real estate. If I'm going to want to raise capital at some point, I got to start amassing the people who have the capital on a list right now, and I got to build those relationships before I need it.
Best practices is, even if you don't think that you're going to need it, you may, to get to a large level.
Somebody else may too.
You nailed it. And so that just means start today, and you don't need to wait for anything else.
Right.
But to get out there and let everybody know what you're up to.
I love it. I love it. Well, Nate, oh my gosh, I could probably spend hours with you, and we probably will at some point spend some more time together, because I think that, business is competitive, number one. The landscape is changing for businesses, number two. And, what I have found in my journey is that, the business either is going to hit a ceiling at some point, they're going to have to stay small, which is going to limit their income, their opportunities, or they're going to have to get bigger. And in order to get bigger, they're going to need, additional resources. And that's why we do the show. And so I'm just so grateful today that you shared all the things that you shared, because I know that, if I've benefited by it, as I have already in the conversation today, I know others have as well. So what's the best place, or how should somebody reach out to you? We'll put it in the show notes, but if they're listening right now, and what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you?
Easiest thing is just go to our website, crowdfundinglawyers.net. You can schedule consultations directly with myself and my other senior attorneys, as well as get a ton of education from our blog articles, from videos that we have on our website and YouTube. We very much believe in a giving value. And for that, we always have nonstop educational programs going on.
I love that. I love that. And I did not know that, so I'm glad that I asked. Well, and listeners, thank you so much for supporting our show. And obviously, the folks that we bring to the table are amazing talent. Their time is very valuable, and yet every one of them always gives back to our listeners and to people in the entrepreneurial world. And that's what it's all about. So we just truly appreciate your support. Please share the podcast and wherever you listen to it, and share with your friends, post it on social media, all those things, because you never know when just one idea, one concept, one thought is going to impact somebody and could literally change their life and change the lives of their families and the people around them. And so we're just so appreciative to the folks that listen and watch and support and share. So Nate, thanks again so much. We appreciate you. It was a pleasure today, and I would just truly appreciate all the insight.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing day. Take care.
Thank you for joining Destination Business Freedom with Pat Mancuso. May the insights and strategies shared guide you towards financial prosperity and personal freedom. Continue to navigate boldly. Until next time, keep transforming challenges into achievements. Farewell, and stay the course.